Greetings and welcome back. Now some of you, if you have read my biography or if you've listened to my introductory tape that's on the website, know that my career basically started out working with teenagers in the San Francisco Bay Area. During that time, I really call that my schooling of hard knocks, because during that time is when I really learned how essential it was for me to grab a hold of my authenticity and give them nothing less. Because no one will call you on your baloney more than a 15 to 17-year-old. They're like junior attorneys. And if you have children of that age, you know they're like junior attorneys. They're always right, and they are relentless in terms of a power struggle. But the high side of that part of you, and the high side of having an adolescent in your life, is that they keep you true to your own integrity. Whenever I hear kind of that voice within me who is on her soapbox, it's always my 15 to 17-year-old, and she's always got a valid issue. Now, I don't want her running the show, but I do want to listen to her. And so this week, you're going to get familiar with kind of the sense of rebellion versus passivity. If you were really squashed, then you didn't get a chance to move into that kind of carving a sense out of yourself, carving that identity, which is so important between 15 to 17. And this stage of development is really that place where we begin to do that. The other thing about the 15 to 17-year-old is that part of you really does speak your truth. And so, as I've said, you want to listen to that part of self. The bundling of baggage that we're going to do this week is really having to do with that victim persecutor, that part of us that really plays very passive. And when we learn to speak our truth, we move from victimhood usually into a form of aggressiveness, which is very 15 to 17-year-old. But the mastery of this stage is moving into really a compassionate assertiveness where we know how to set our limits. Now, the 15 to 17-year-old is the other side of what you did or did not experience as a toddler. What I tell people when they're raising their children is set your limits with your toddler, because right now you can pick that little one up and discipline them by putting them in the room and shutting the door. Try to do that with a 15 to 17-year-old and you've got, pandemonium on your hands. So this is all about setting limits, being in your authentic self. Now, it's very interesting with 15 to 17-year-old children, because often they are very anti anything spiritual or religious, just because it takes away their identity. That's how they experience it. Anything that threatens who they are will be balked at. The other thing about a 15 to 17-year-old, you can tell by my energy. I love working with this age. I absolutely adore my 15 to 17-year-old because she keeps me on my toes. But the other thing about them is that they will never, ever let you get away with betraying yourself. So again, it's on the other side of the toddler. This part of self really speaks its truth. The other thing I want to say about adolescence that I didn't say last week is that very often when we're working with an inner child, the teenager will emerge first. So when we go back to a first remembered experience, it may be the 12 or 15 or the 15 to 17 or the 17 to 21 who comes and kind of interacts with the adult self first. Always underneath that, the adolescent is protecting the more vulnerable part of self. So this is like the grown-up toddler. And the 12 to 15-year-old is the maturing 3 to 6-year-old. Next week we talk about the 17 to 21. They have the same issues and the same goals as the infant, except the infant is trying to come into the family and the 17 to 21-year-old is trying to move into the world. So the toddler is experiencing autonomy, independence. The 15 to 17-year-old is carving out a sense of identity. So you'll have fun with the stage. Again, by now, if you're doing the 20-week package, you're very familiar with kind of the format of this. If not, these developmental stages are where I am really bringing in the audio versions of all the exercises, and I'm interfacing it with the 7-layer healing process, which is the process I developed in 2006, 2007, where I first integrated the EFT tapping with the inner child focus. So you will continue to see that this week. Thanks.